Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Monty, and in today's video, I'm gonna be doing a book haul. A thrifted book haul. I will say that I only have 7 books to talk about, which is just a teensy tiny amount compared to the number of books that most booktubers have in their book hauls. But I am just so excited about every single one of these books. So I wanted an excuse to talk about them, and I'm probably just not gonna do another book haul for the rest of the year, if I'm quite honest. I don't like spending money on books. Every time I look at how much a book costs at full price, it's like $17, and I'd just much rather spend that money on like a good lunch, you know, or a fancy yogurt at the grocery store. I'm really food driven, so that's where I allocate a lot of my money, is on food. And I just don't like to spend money on books at full price, at least, because I don't know if I'm gonna like a book, you know what I mean? And if I do really enjoy a library book that I read or a used book that I read and I wanna buy, you know, a new copy, then I can, but I don't do it willy-nilly, let's say. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm all for people spending money how they want to spend it. I just, like I said, prefer to spend it on good food. So with that being said, let's get into it. The books coming from this stack all came from 2 different thrift stores. The first one is a thrift store called Arc, and I think it's a Colorado-based chain of thrift stores. And I went to it when I visited Fort Collins back in December, and I had no intention of buying any books, no intention of buying anything really, and then saw their selection and how much the books were, and I just couldn't control myself. Every single book there was like $2.99, and they were all in such good condition. I'm gonna show you the 3 that I ended up buying at this store, and you'll see like they're in really good condition for the price that I paid for them. So if you live in Colorado and you haven't been to Arc, you need to go. The first book that I got at this thrift store is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I believe this is her debut novel, and it's about a woman who dies and leaves a very interesting inheritance to her 2 kids. The inheritance is comprised of a black cake and a voice recording where she is telling her life story and revealing family secrets to the 2 kids. So it's very much a family drama with a touch of suspense, it sounds like. And if you know, my favorite book of 2023 was Everything I Never Told You. And if I were to describe Everything I Never Told You in a very broad description, I would probably describe it the same way that I just described this book. So I have really high hopes for this one. I am really excited for it and hope that I love it as much as I loved Everything I Never Told You. How many times can I say that title? The next book that I got is Funny You Should Ask. Again, $2.99, and it is just in pristine condition. This one looks new to me. Like, it doesn't look used at all. Crazy good deal. And it normally sells for $17 at full price. Funny You Should Ask is a romance novel. It's kind of like a second chance romance novel, I think, where this celebrity interviewer ends up interviewing the actor that's going to play James Bond in the new James Bond movie. And they have kind of like a whirlwind weekend together and then reconnect 10 years later. This one should be fun and light, and it might be the perfect book for me to pick up in February. I mean, it's just pink, red, white, perfect for Valentine's Day. So I might be picking this one up sooner than the other ones. Next, I have The Bookwoman's Daughter by Michele Richardson. This is a historical novel. It is about the daughter of the famed blue-skinned Troublesome Creek pack horse librarian. So I kind of looked into this, and it sounds like in the 1930s and 40s in Appalachia, there was this project called the Pack Horse Library Project, which was focused on delivering library books to people in really remote mountainous locations, and it was primarily driven by women. So women were the ones that were traveling either by horseback or by mule to go deliver these books to people. And this book is kind of centered around the daughter of a woman who was really involved in this project, I believe. I love historical fiction. A lot of the historical fiction that I have read in the past is World War II historical fiction, and I've really, really enjoyed it. But lately I've been craving some more niche historical fiction about times and places and people, events that I'm really, really unfamiliar with. And this book totally fits the bill for that. So I think this is going to perfectly scratch that itch for me, and I can't wait. The next book I technically didn't buy. My friend in Fort Collins just gave it to me. It was their copy and they read it and enjoyed it and wanted to pass it on. And that is Firstborn by Will Dean. This is a thriller novel. It is about two twins who are sort of inseparable from birth, and then they end up moving away from each other. And within a year of moving away from each other, one of the twins dies unexpectedly. And so the living twin ends up traveling to New York where their other twin died to figure out what happened, and things unfold from there. This will be a fun one to pick up probably when I'm in a reading slump and just need something quick and fun and easy and page turny to read. Okay, the next bookstore that I visited is here in Salt Lake. It's called Marissas Bookstore, and they have a bunch of used and new books. A great selection. I love going there. So if you live in the area, I would highly, highly recommend Marissas Bookstore. The first book that I found there that I had to get is The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. If you watched my TBR, like creating my TBR jar video, I put in a prompt for a work that's been translated, and I actually had this exact book in mind when I created that prompt. So when I found this, I had to get it. I absolutely had to get it. This book is Allende's debut novel, and it's translated from Spanish to English. It is a multi-generational family saga, which is right up my alley. And I've just heard a lot of great things about this book. I first heard about it through Rory Gilmore on Gilmore Girls, and it's kind of just been in the back of my mind ever since. So I was super, super pumped to see this. It was only $3, and it is really, really bruised and battered, but it's not going to affect my reading experience whatsoever. So this was a really, really great find for me. Next up, we have a book that was highly recommended to me by my boyfriend. When we came across it in the bookstore, he asked me if I've ever read this series, and I had not, and so he convinced me to buy the book, or like the first book in the series, and that is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larrson. This is also technically a translated work. It was originally written in Swedish, and most people are familiar with this series. It's been adapted into a movie, and I did get the movie adaptation cover purely because this version is so floppy. I mean, look at that. I can turn to any page and it will lie flat. Amazing, amazing. I love that. I love a floppy book. But anyway, this is kind of like a suspense novel. I know that there are really disturbing scenes in this, which is why I've sort of held off on reading it. So this will be more of a right time, right place type of read for me. But I'm excited because it's part of a series, and one of my goals for 2024, I think I said 2023 earlier. One of my reading goals for 2024 is to read more series. So if I end up liking this one, that'll be great because I'll be able to continue on with the series and fulfill one of my goals for the year. My last book truly needs no introduction. It is a modern classic. Everyone has heard of it, even if you haven't read it, and that is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This one was $7 at the bookstore. It's in great condition, and I've been wanting to read this for a while. I technically bought this for my boyfriend for his birthday, but it's going on my bookshelf and I'm also going to read it, so I wanted to include it in this book video. I love that the cover is just black with some font and nothing else. No imagery whatsoever. It's really fitting for what the novel is about. It's a post-apocalyptic story about a father and son who are traveling across America on foot to get to the coast and see what they can find there. And I just feel like this black cover is very post-apocalyptic vibes. And so I'm kind of obsessed. Like, it's so simple, but it's perfect. This book is less than 300 pages, and when you look at some of these pages, there's like barely any writing on them, and the font is pretty big. So I think this is one that I could probably get through pretty quickly, and I'm super pumped. A modern classic. And those are the 7 books that I wanted to talk to you all about. If you have read any of these, and if you really, really loved any of these that you read, please let me know down in the comments below, because then I will probably read it sooner than I would have otherwise. And I just always love knowing what people are really into, what books people enjoyed. So that's it. If you watched this entire video, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.